if you were in a mainstream school with, say, 20 TAs, what would you use from this experience to train them?
Gosh, well, I do go and observe in a lot of mainstream schools, and I sometimes get quite frustrated with the use of TAs. And I know the Sutton Trust report suggested that TAs are not used in the best way possible. And, you know, sometimes we can go into a mainstream lesson and a TA is just sitting beside a pupil. Now, the idea is that becomes a calming influence for that pupil. That's the kind of best idea, really. Or if that pupil kicks off, the TA is there immediately, or the TA can take the pupil away from the class or whatever. You just encourage them to work. Well, actually, I kind of wouldn't accept that if I were a head teacher. I'd expect the TA to be engaged in work the entire time. Now, so for instance, our TAs do assessment of our pupils. So in a mainstream school, rather than just sitting there, they can be assessing the work of the students. You know, so I saw a lovely example in one school where TAs carry around a notepad and pen, and actually they, whilst the teacher is teaching, you know, so this often happens, teachers at the front of the class, they're teaching the class, the children are all sitting there listening, and the TA is sitting there listening with them. Well, instead of doing that, the TA could actually be assessing the work that the child has had in their books, perhaps. For that to happen, that there needs to be training of those TAs. It may be easier if the TAs are attached to a particular department, like English, where they get all that training, or maths, you know, so that they know actually this child needs okay, this child has done this particular sum wrong. I'm going to just write something in which will explain them how to do it, and they can do it. We don't want them to take the place of the teacher, but if they've got that knowledge, then perhaps they can. I saw another really good example where a TA was working with a child. The child was immensely bright, I have to say, and the child turned around to the TA. It was a computer lesson, and it was on programming, and said something to the TA, which TA clearly had no idea. I had no idea, you know, but the TA very cleverly said, right, okay, what are we going to do to solve that problem? How could we find out the answer to it? And that's the right way, rather than saying, I don't know, or let's find someone else. She was very clever in actually getting the child to look at it. And it was seamless. The child didn't even realise she was doing it. You know, the child didn't take the mick out TA or anything like that. So I would find ways in which the TA could be employed the entire time. You know, primary schools perhaps is a better example. They might be putting displays up while that teacher, as long as it's not distracting the teacher, is imparting that information to the class. You know, arguably, does the TA need to be there for that bit of the lesson at all, really? Could she be doing some small group work with a group of students? There are all sorts of things that we could do with TAs. We have to upskill them, though, and we have to give them the confidence. I think what happens in a secondary lesson is everything is quiet and the teacher is talking. So what can the TA be doing that doesn't distract the teacher? She clearly can't be talking to the child, but she'd be doing other things, really. Yeah. Assessment is just one of them. Creating resources. You've always got a laptop. Is another one. You know, looking for additional resources is another idea. Writing to a parent is another way forward. You know, there are all sorts of different things they could be doing. And I would suggest for a secondary school, somebody does observations, a group of people do observations, and get a bank of ideas that they could be going on with. TAs are probably our most valuable resource, so we need to make use of them.